So I'm really excited to be here today with Jeremy, also known as the Liver Flush Maestro, which is quite a name to take on. I know you've been really, you've been taking it upon yourself to help promote this thing called liver flushing.
Yes,
How did
yes,
you end
that's.
up? Yeah, well, could you maybe tell us why you took that name for yourself on social media?
Oh, I wanted something that stood out. Basically, I started on Twitter for some reason, and the when you tweet, you have your name, and your name can be anything. So I thought, well, let's use this name to actually convey some meaning immediately, right? So that if people, the thing is, I want people to, if they're meant to do something, they'll find it easily. If it rings a bell for them, then they will look at it. And so they always have a wink, wink, about liver flushing in my name, and I put Maestro just because I thought I did it for 10 years. I saw amazing benefits from it. I have, it's okay. I think it's fine. It just,
Do you
it's all
have do you
right.
have some Spanish blood there?
No, I don't. I have some Italian, but
Yeah,
well,
that's what I was wondering.
yeah, well, I'm half French, half Italian, and a quarter Anglo-Saxon, British, I think, origin.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, it is a really great name, and it's smart to convey a message right there in that.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Because I want usually, some people are on social media and they just talk about random stuff, but this is not my case. I use social media like my website because I don't want. I'm an engineer. I do software development, and I don't want to maintain a website. It's a pain. You have to patch it. You have to. And a website to get known is much less powerful. Now we have social media, things can go viral much easier. Elon Musk himself replied to one of my tweets. I
oh,
gained like 200 followers in one shot. Things like
wow.
that, I mean, you can have a leverage effect. So I said, okay, I'm not going to create a website, but any social media account that I have will be very consistent and will be basically focused on that, the 90%. I talk about a few other things, but really nothing left. And I hardly any retweets, right? I don't repeat the stuff. I quote. So I say, oh, this is good. This is a success story. I try to gather success stories. I try to gather information about it, really like exactly how I felt it. Just expose what it is. That's all. I'm not trying to make a big fuss out of it, but still, I want to make sure that the information is there and accessible. So,
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome mission. Kind of to back up though, how would someone get so passionate that they would dedicate, their social media accounts to just promoting the message of liver flushing? Like, first of
well,
all, how
because
did
of the benefits that I had. I mean, this is the benefits are just amazing. I don't know if you saw. I have benefits on my Facebook profile. It's a pinned post. So I got so much benefits out of it that I said I have to to talk about it. It's just every day. Okay, so basically I walk in a new world. Okay, so my world is a bit different. I walk in a completely new world and I look around, okay, and I see people, they're all sick, and I'm like, oh God, I know what you need. I know what you need. I know what you need. I know you. I know what you need. It's crazy. So I mean, okay, so I'm a normal human being, and I didn't think that in this life I would have the privilege to discover something worth of the great discoveries of humanity. And
Hmm.
I think even the author himself, Andreas Moritz, in his book said, oh, you'll be stone free in 12 flushes. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, 12 flushes. Oh, that's just the beginning. Don't even It's like, you have not started, dude. Dude, you didn't start at all. Nothing. It's like nothing, nothing, nothing. You did nothing. You just did a little start. Things start really moving at like 25, 30, 40. And even like last year, I did only 3. In the entire year, I did 3 flushes. And I already saw some improvements in my stamina when I do running, in my flexibility when I do yoga, in my just good feeling every day. I mean, so every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, I feel so good. And then it's like, oh, how can I tell others? Like, this is on my, the more you flush, the more you feel the good, and the more you're like, it's a problem. It can become a problem because you're like, how can I I feel so good? Oh crap. I mean, it's
You mean the problem is that you realize how good you can feel and you want to get there?
Yes, and you want other people's to benefit from it because it's so amazing. And the problem is we accumulate stones from extremely young age.
Yes.
Extremely young. When I say young, it's like maybe 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. You accumulate stones a lot also.
Actually, I think I even learned that if they cut the umbilical cord too early, that you can start having liver issues right then, because you're actually supposed to get help to process some of the like early first, like as you're turning over into oxygen, your liver isn't ready to actually process all of that. And so you might actually start collecting some sort of congestion from the cutting of the umbilical cord, if that happens too early.
Yeah, that's true, but it's only a small detail. I think it's more the overall environment, the psychological environment also of the baby, of the parents, and so forth, that do that. Because, well, let me tell you why I know. I mean, I said we accumulate stones very early on, and the proof I have, at least some level of proof, is that my mother always told me that I was allergic to cats and dogs, and cats were very, very bad. I came to the US a few times when I was very young, and of course there was a cat, and I was really bad. And so, as far as I remember, I'm allergic to cats and dogs. So maybe let's say I was allergic at least at 5 years old. Let's say. I think that's good. So then. Now I'm gone. I'm free from a cat and dog allergies. Actually, it's funny. There was a little cat that tried to go into our apartment, like rush in. I don't know why they want to go in our apartments and visit. They're curious. It's a young cat. And then I many times I picked it up and put it out, and then no problem. I mean, I'm like, wow, I was never able to do that. If I do that, I'd have a punishment afterwards. Would be punished to death by like asthma, swelling eyes, itchy eyes like crazy. I mean, and I was just touching the cat, and I touched my eyes afterwards. I did this just to test, Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. I'm like, oh gosh, that's amazing. So yeah, so this you accumulate liver stones so I think it's reasonable to deduct. I don't want to make conclusions immediately, but it's reasonable to deduct that your stones accumulate very early. And actually, the stones hide toxicity. And this toxicity is different for everyone and can create symptoms that are different for everyone's. The stones, actually, I think the stones are made of cholesterol, and they gather some of the toxicity of the person. If you have a heavy metal, I think the liver will wrap it up in cholesterol and make it a little ball, and hopefully this little ball is small enough so that on the next time you eat and you have a little bit of greasy food, it'll just come out naturally, right? Because if it's small enough, it'll come out naturally. The problem is when it accumulates and it starts blocking itself, then things start bad. So
yeah. So for your own story, like, so you had some allergies even as a very young boy. Were there other health issues that led you to liver flushing, or what was it that led you there?
Very good question. So liver flushing, I was lucky in the sense that I was not sick enough, because I was sick, but it's like the frog in the boiling water, right?
Mhm.
You crank up the heat very slowly and it doesn't notice that it's been boiled, it's going to die basically. But it's so I was not it started so I was not I didn't do it. It wasn't like you, where basically you said, oh, I have to search what's my, I have to cure myself. I wasn't like that. But I was not super healthy either, but I was functioning, with between quotes, in a functioning mode. I was not in a exuberant mode. So my wife basically had a brother-in-law who had cancer, and somehow both of us believe the same thing, is that Western medicine is great when you break a bone, when you have a plastic surgery, like Jay Leno, poor guy, he had some burns on his face in December, and they put the skin really well, so that top notch. But they're not good at all the cancer things, all those things. It's not good. So we said, okay, let's look for a solution, and she found that liver flush, and we ordered the book and we read it, and we said, well, we cannot recommend this flush to this brother-in-law if we didn't try it ourselves. So I looked at the book and I said, yeah, the ingredients have nothing. So she researched on Epsom salt. We never heard about it. Yeah, and all the research was fine. It's very benign thing to drink. And then we saw olive oil and citrus juice, and I said, okay, well, we eat this all the time. There's no problem. Okay, apple juice, no problem either. We do half malic acid, half apple juice, because apple juice is too sweet. That's fine, no problem. Okay, okay. So my wife, I tell her, well, you start first, since you're interested, and I'll have a look, and then we'll see. And then she did it, and then I saw those green things floating. Oh, I was like, oh no. Then I was like, I need to try. I need to try. So the next week, immediately we bought all the apple juice needed and so forth, and I did it, and then Lord and behold, the little things, the little green things were floating in the toilet bowl, which was, oh really? So then we started every 2 months, because it was a bit hard on ourselves a bit. You're nauseous, and I take maybe a couple of weeks to recover my digestion correctly, to have normal stools after that. So we did every 2 months. And then at the beginning, I mean, it was more, oh, okay, we're getting rid of stuff. That's good. I mean, it's always good to, expel toxicity. So, and then my number 4 was like yours, you have this bowl, with all the little, half a pound of liver stones. But it's funny because yours are much darker. They're like dark green, almost like black. Mine were still more green and more shades of green. But so I saw that it was like, I filled up the toilet bowl with liver stones, basically. I mean, I picked up a few. I didn't collect, but because so my wife's flushes are less smelly than mine were. I had more toxicity, and she had more blockage, like more of those stones. She had more of them, but I had less, but more stink. It's like, so everybody has their own kind of different toxicity, which affects them in different ways. And
did you ever have any like particular smells? Like sometimes, like you might even be able to smell a chemical or like
no,
it
was yeah, no, I could not recognize a chemical. But one thing which was interesting is that maybe at my number 6 or 7, my sweat started stinking like a mad, maybe for 2-3 days after a flush, or in between flushes. And my wife was saying, go to the jacuzzi. There's some chlorine there. It'll kill the smell. And then sometimes my sweat smelled that doesn't do it anymore too much, but it smelled like this maple syrup. Very interesting. So very sweet. and that I knew this is the body's detoxing by itself, because it's some kind of, when you start liver flushes, your body sort of knows that it's coming and it's starting to detox by itself. It's extremely smart. It knows it's coming, and I could have headaches in day 6, even way before the Epsom salt. But I know the body's like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna push all the crap out. You know, it's really like it knows it's coming, kind of thing. It has this level of intelligence that the cells know, okay, I need to expel. Let's go. You know, like push hard. You know, and even before you actually drink anything that would make you detox, you already start detoxing, which is an interesting aspect of it. Mm-hmm. So going back to the smells, there are some, I could not recognize any type of chemical smell per se. It was more some extreme stink. I don't know how to say it, but I was happy it's gone. Mm-hmm. It's some stink bomb basically that goes off, and that takes maybe an hour to clear off the whole home. I mean, even with windows wide open, it's very, very toxic. Oh yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny because those flushes, the flushes with a lot of stones typically don't smell much, but it's the flushes with fewer stones, but like that can have this effect. And also the butthole is very, very stink. It's like you eat something extremely spicy, but the other way. Comes out the other way.
Yeah, that
makes extremely spicy, and you know, this is a good one.
And also, it makes me think that like maybe that time you're getting like toxic bile out, maybe less stones but more of bile that's somehow been in there, and you get the burning on the anus.
Correct, yes. And also sometimes I have those bright orange or bright red quinoa size, sesame size stones. And those, I know if I see them, they're like, sometimes they're fluorescent orange, like,
whoa,
like, yes. And you're like, okay. And usually, and it's funny because those flushes usually don't, in volume, are not very much. But I see a big release of those. I know, next week I'm going to feel good. Because those are the most toxic. I mean, if I get those, I know, okay, there's a breakthrough in my health, everything.
Wow. So, are they like uniform size? Have you considered whether they're eggs?
No, I don't. They're relatively uniform size, yes.
Interesting.
And their orange or yellow color is very staining. It stains. If you touch it, it'll stick on your finger, or it'll stick on anything it touches. And it stains. For example, I go to a colonic, and the colonic, there's a little transparent tube where you see all the stones going in, it's fun. And then when I have those orange things come out, the tube becomes orange. Wow. And the woman, and I tell the lady, I said, oh, you're gonna have to clean your tube with a brush. I said, oh, I know.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And so my number 4, I went to the colonic place. So it's amazing because this colonic place made huge business with me, huge. Because at the beginning, at my flush number 1, I went on day 7. I like to go on day 7, just in the beginning of the afternoon, because day 7, your colon is still empty, but still full of toxicity from the liver. So it's best. I mean, that's where I feel best to expel everything. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm doing a liver flush. And somehow the 1, 2, 3, I didn't really have many stones, and she didn't really understand. She didn't know what liver flushing was. But number 4 was so large that I clogged the tube with a stone. So she removed it, and the stone was stuck in the tube.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And she said, what is that? What is that? And she took it out. She said, what is that? Oh, it's a liver stone. I'm doing a liver flush. Well, how do you do a liver flush? What is that? And then she said, okay, no problem. I'll give you your email. I'll send you the reference to the book. It's on Amazon. You can read the review comments and do it. So she bought it immediately. And like in like a year, she got like 20 customers doing that. So they're all coming. And it's recurring revenue. I mean, it's like a cash cow. I gave her a cash cow. And I said, here is your cash cow. Just milk it. Milk the cash cow.
Oh
milk
my
it. You can milk it, and you make lots of money. And then she opened another student. I'm like so happy for her, because I was really happy for her, but also for the people who do this liver flush, that come to her place. So that was good. That spread the word a bit. So that was fun. So those are going back to the different types of toxicities. Those bright orange things are really good. So interesting, because on the liver flush group that we're on Facebook, there are some people who have flukes, and that I've never seen. I've never had some kind of liver flukes like that. I haven't seen that kind of thing for me, and nor my wife. But I don't either fish. So if they don't float, and apparently they float, but if they don't float, I don't go digging, I don't go digging, straining and things, because usually I'm nauseous. I'm like, okay, this is a stone. I just take a picture, flush, go away. I'm like, oh, now liver flushes are much easier. I don't need to, I'm not nauseous anymore when I do them. But like, 10 times ago, like in my 30s, 40s, I'm like, on day 7, I'm like a vegetable, and then after the colonic on day 7, I'm like, oh, much better.
Yeah. So when you got to, so you learned from the book, and the book said, Andreas Moritz said, it only takes, 8 to 12 flushes and you're good. So
yes,
when you and your wife got to 8 to 12 or 12 flushes, what made you know that you needed to keep going?
Oh, because there was still coming out, and we were feeling still at 8, at number 12, we started seeing health benefits a little bit. Well, they were short. Like, you get this walking on air sensation just after day 7, day 8, day 9, and day 10 gone, kind of thing. And we know, it's like, whoa. And each time this walking on air sensation went longer and longer and longer. 1 week, it stayed 1 week, and then faded much, much less rapidly, kind of, I had a hint of this walking on air sensation, right? And eventually it goes longer and longer, and then it's kind of continuous. It's basically continuous.
Yeah.
So, which is my case now. That's why I live in a funny world, as I say, I'm like, huh? Yeah. Every time, every day, I feel good, and it's hard to believe, but it is. Of course, there are days where I feel less good, but it's still, even the worst days I still feel amazing. So
wow. I'm so happy for that. I'm happy for you, and also for the hope that brings to so many people, because it's like, this is something we can apply,
Yes. Yeah, it's easy to apply. Yes.
What was like was there ever like a really surprising benefit that happened, or something that happened immediately after any flush that was surprising for you?
So the walking on air thing, after a flush, that started maybe after the 10, in the teens, I would say. That was surprising. What else? So there are benefits that I only had very recently, like the allergy gone. That's recent. I would say recent in the last 2 years, because you lose them, but I don't have a cat, and I stray away from those things, right? So you don't recognize it immediately. So I cannot tell exactly at which flush I lost my allergies. Also, the corner of my mouth are, if I relax my mouth, they're more on smiling, whereas before they were frowning, clearly. So that's something. If I relax my face, you can see.
I can see that they go up. Yeah.
And I'm not doing anything. So yes, that was surprising, and I saw that was amazing. Also, my stomach is very, very flat. If we look, that's because all the crap is out. I mean, the volume. I mean, if your liver is like this, it cannot. It takes space in your thoracic, it goes up and takes the lung space, it takes the outside, basically it takes any space it can. So I mean then your stomach becomes nice and flat.
It's really remarkable, and I mean, for me it was quite shocking, and it's remarkable to me how much matter can actually be packed into our organ.
Yes, I know.
And it's like, I actually have, I've had breathing issues for quite some time and diaphragm issues. And it's like, well, when I start seeing what is coming out, I'm like, how could it all be stuffed in there,
I know.
where all these organs are supposed to be?
I know. Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so benefits. So okay, that was that. And then my mental power. Oh gosh. This thing. Oh, my mental power. Basically, okay, so everybody has this problem at certain age where their mental power goes down. But for me, it was a bit early. In 2005, I started to work in 2000. I was doing software development. In 2005, I said, oh, I cannot focus anymore. It's impossible. So I looked at something else, and I went to technical sales, where the technical requirement, are less strong. And so in 2005, I went to this. I did technical sales, and then I did that for another 10 years. And so since I started in 2011, in 2016, I was able to go back to development because of my mental power got so much better. So that benefit was much more visible. In 2016, I was maybe in my 30s, 32, maybe something like that. I don't know. And that allowed me to go back to development because I could focus on a problem for hours instead of 5 minutes. And I was like, my brain doesn't function anymore. So basically your blood bathes in toxicity that cannot be filtered correctly by the liver. And if the liver does not do its job, you basically bathe in toxicity, and everything bathes in it, your brain, all your organs. So if you clean the liver, basically all the other organs eventually clean themselves. And I have a theory, I cannot prove this one, but after a certain number of flushes, your body knows that you can detox more, and it will send more crap to the liver to be removed as well. So those organs, for example, and I think it goes with my stamina when I'm running. I can run 18 miles at maybe 8 minutes per mile, and and then that's not super fast compared to athletic people, but it's for someone who's 47, I think it's not bad. And I think that how we accumulate cholesterols in the veins. If your liver is cleaner and has less cholesterol as stones, this cholesterol can be transferred back to the liver. So you clean out all your veins, all your heart is much pumping easier and so forth, and other organs too. And I don't even know, maybe they detox as well, because they know that the liver can handle more. So they say, oh, okay, I'm gonna go. I have some rubbish in my little corner there. Let's get that out.
Yeah.
Put it back in the blood, and whenever the liver will get to it, it'll get to it. Done.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you can imagine that as the liver gets totally filled up, then we start maybe other areas like our lymph and our fat cells and our different organs, they start just saving it up because it's like nobody's coming to take the trash. So Correct. It's like, the trash, the center, the main trash place is just completely full and they're not processing it. So it's like we just have to keep our own trash.
Correct.
It piles up in all these other places, including the brain, I'm guessing.
Correct. Yes. Yes, and I was prone to migraines also, and those are, I would say, those are the hardest to dissipate with liver flushing. I only in the last year I had migraines that are mini migraines. They're usually a migraine is 12 hours, and I have ophthalmic migraine, and then I can vomit. And I haven't been vomiting anymore with migraines, and now I can get mini migraines that are less than 30 minutes. And you get and it's weird, you get all the symptoms, but all condensed in 30 minutes. Whoa. So I have my vision problem for 10 minutes, I cannot see very well, and then I have my headache and I have a slight nausea, and done.
Wow.
It's like, oh, you can get mini migraines. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's kind of strange that pattern is still happening.
Yeah, so but I noticed that when I get a migraine, usually afterwards my stamina is multiplied. And I think the migraine actually itself is a detox mechanism for the body to expel something somewhere. I don't know where it comes out, but it's something somewhere, and that basically something is dumped into the blood that makes your headache, right? And you even lose some part of vision. Actually, in my case, it's an ophthalmic migraine. I have some part of my vision, peripheral vision, that I cannot see anymore for only like a few an hour or something like that. So I have a feeling that some organ is dumping something in the blood that either the kidneys or the liver cleans up afterwards. And I feel much better like the day after. Not, of course, the D-Day, not good, but the day after I go out for a run and I'm like, oh, I'm light, I'm better. Oh, okay. It was worth this migraine, kind of. It's never happened before. Before it was a migraine and it was horrendous, right? And now I have a migraine and I see it more in a positive way, in the sense, okay, it's a detox, okay? Just go through it. It should be fine. It won't be as bad as before because anyway, it's okay. And usually that's the case. I have like mini migraines now sometimes, and I have longer ones. I had a longer one, but it maybe takes 2-3 hours to calm down instead of like 12, like half a day. So it's okay.
Wow, that's really interesting. I've never had that quite brought to my attention, but the body, we have so many different kinds of toxicity, and some which are much more sort of more hazardous, right, to handle.
Yes.
So it's like
correct.
Something like that, like having a short migraine, you could imagine that something quite maybe tiny, but maybe quite hazardous is being moved.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, it's like you have this opportunity it's like we don't even know we've inherited toxins. It's just we've been on this, post-industrial developed society for generations. And if you're getting to like those little bits of really intense, heavy metals or, things in the brain, it's like we're not even sure what's all possible when you like fully clean up the whole.
Correct. I know. Yes. And also, yeah, correct. That's my point, is that where my experience, and some others also are unique, is that even beyond what Andreas Moritz did, is I don't think Andreas Moritz passed away. I think he didn't do enough of liver flush. Clearly, he needs to do more. He didn't. It's like he found something that humanity has been looking for thousands of years. Like emperors in the past would want the pill of eternal life, and although that's not it, but it's getting pretty close. I mean, it's all the big question is, how long can you live if you do liver flushes, let's say 4 times a year? How long can you live? I mean, I can tell you that I have so much. I mean, all the people in their 40s here, they reach their peak. They're going away from their peak. I'm not going. I'm still going towards my peak. It's not past. I can tell you that right away. Yeah. It's not past. Oh no, not at all. It's like, yeah. So that's the big question: is how long? I don't know, 100 years old. I don't know. We'll see. This is the only thing I said. Okay, how long can we live? Most likely longer, but I cannot say a year. Time will tell. Time is the ultimate referee for that. So,
and interesting also to imagine the progeny or the children that might come from people who've actually cleared, cleared
Oh yeah.
really
Oh
fully.
gosh. Oh
That's a
yes. Yeah, I
whole
know.
another
I know.
possibility.
Yes. Yes. So that will be very interesting, because are the stones, and it goes back to what we were talking earlier, is how are the stones formed? So is it because the mother is sick and it transfers, it sort of, some toxicity gets transferred through the placenta membrane into the fetus, or early on? It's hard to know. This is the big question. I don't know how they're and also the fact that modern medicine does not know about them. They know about the stones in the gallbladder, but they don't know about the stones too much in the liver, because most likely they don't show up on ultrasounds and MRIs or things like that, because perhaps the tissue of the liver itself has the same density as the stones somehow, and they just don't show up. So yeah.
I think they can tell when, they are able to diagnose fatty liver, but that is basically when it is so clogged up.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just,
Oh.
really,
Yeah.
really bad situation. Tens
Oh yeah, they detect it way too late.
yeah.
People have bad livers and they're not aware of it whatsoever. I mean, it's clear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of what I'm trying to share too. I mean, I, like you, feel passionate that this could be applied by more people and really help the world and help kind of unlock our potential, and
Yes.
um but it's, the liver suffers rather silently. I mean, by the time you have the symptoms, which, like you said, everyone around us has symptoms, by that time it's already pretty far advanced liver.
Yes. Yes. And far advanced, and also yeah, we sort of get those symptoms slowly but surely, so we don't really know how sick we are. That's the thing. We don't, unless like you or Martha, on Facebook, on Instagram. She the liver flush gal, she really did a study like you on detoxing, because she had to take her matter in her own hands. She couldn't function anymore. But that was not my case. I was lucky in the sense that we were looking for a cancer cure that actually this brother-in-law never did it and passed away, the default thing, unfortunately. But we had to try it on ourselves in order for us to say it works or not, right? We cannot just say, oh, do this, and then, oh, did you do it? Oh, no, no. That's not my style. If I recommend something, I have to do it, right? So yeah, and then we still don't know if it would cure cancer. Most likely, who knows? I mean, I can see that if you have a toxic liver and your immune system is busy fighting the toxicity in your liver and your blood as a result, that a few cells that are multiplying in a in a random fashion might be say the immune system says, oh, this is a back burner. I'm busy with my core stuff, all the shit in the liver, or else immediately I die, right? I mean, those cells multiplying in an anarchic fashion, well, they won't kill me right away. But what would kill me right away is if I would get a septic shock, if basically all this toxicity was not fought with, right? So, and then the one circulating in the liver and the blood system. So
Yeah, I think I think it's, just to go back a minute too, really interesting what you said about Andreas Moritz, because people a lot of times bring up like, well, how can liver flushing be so good? He died, at 58 or something. And I think you bring up a really good point. If he's telling, I remember reading he did a 10 or a dozen.
Yeah, that's nothing. 10 is just a beginning. 10 is like 10 is like your baby. You're not grown up.
Did you ever have flushes that did not have stones, but then like you thought maybe I'm done with stones, and then you had further flushes. Can you just
So
share?
yes, I had maybe 4 or 5 of them already, and in a row on top of it. And then what I do, I know there are more. So when that happens, when there are no stones, don't stop. Don't stop. This is very important. Just increase the time, decrease your frequency or increase the time between flushes. Let's say you did them monthly and you start having no stones, just do them every 2 months or every 3 months, right? But what I can say is that doing it twice a year I started at number 44, 45, 46 at twice a year. I did it at three years at twice a year. That's not enough. I started reaccumulating, that I know, because now I'm doing it 4 times a year, every 3 months. So when there's no stones, try to have a rhythm of maybe 4 times a year, I would say, is good, at least at my level, as having done 52 of them. It's important not to stop. It's because some stones could still be moving and you push them and they move and they move and they move and then they go out. So you have to do it constantly. It's important. To keep the momentum going.
Keep the momentum going. Did you ever have, like, what was the worst reaction you ever had after a flush?
Basically, I was lethargic or vomits. I had a few vomits, so I vomited my Epsom salt a few times. So when that happens, you have to take it again, obviously, or else your flush is not working. I vomited the olive mixture, olive oil and citrus juice mixture once, and you have to take it again if you want it to make it effective. It's not because it was there for 5 minutes, then it came out that it's going to work. You have to swallow it again. So I wasted 1 flush like that because I wasn't sure, should I take it, should not? I said, yes, you should take it. You have to take it again. Usually after vomiting, you feel better, so you're mixing again. You take your Epsom salt again. So yeah, I would say the worst is like vomiting after an Epsom salt. That was quite, it happened maybe out of 52 flushes, it happened maybe 3-4 times, 3 times maybe. In day 7 in the morning, sometimes I was a vegetable, meaning I felt like just like doing nothing. It's like nothing, like a real couch potato, not even the TV on, nothing. I would just just like, and then and it's funny because I said I was like on the couch day 7. I said, oh, I need to go to the restroom. Okay, I go. So I'm like those animals that are lazy, how do you call them?
Like a sloth.
Oh yeah, sloth. Yes, sloth. Yes, the sloth. A real sloth. And then I go to the restroom and I do I expel some toxicity, and I'm like, it's the contrast is so massive. And as you said, when it comes, it's funny because even if it's in the colon, you still feel bad, and in the moment it comes out, oh my God, what happened to me? What happened? It takes a few seconds, and the body knows, and then that's it. Boom! It's so amazing.
It is so amazing. Yeah.
You come out, I was like, oh, much better now. Oh.
Yeah.
And then all the energy comes back. Once also on day 7, I was going to the farmer's market. Usually it's Sunday morning, so I go to the farmer's market. So it was about 10 a.m. And there were, farmer's market has samples. So I take a sample of a tomato, and I was not, I was a bit low energy, day 7, right? I eat the tomato, I swallow it, and oh, the energy, wow! It's like, how come I didn't even digest it? It's sitting in my stomach most likely. Like, how can it? And the body like, oh wow, the energy. The amount of energy I got, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that. So I said, oh, wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
So you can also eat something, you can expel something and then eat something and get a lot of energy. So, okay, that's amazing. So
yeah, that like absorptive power,
correct.
the receiving, the digestion that is
Correct.
happens even right away.
I know, it's the instantaneous aspect of things. Oh, that's, oh yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that's a good story. If somebody, so 52 flushes, since you're such a veteran, what do you have any tips or tricks that you would want to pass on to younger flushers?
The one thing that I say is don't stop, because I know a lot of people who do like 3. Like on Facebook, sometimes I read a post on this Liver Flush group, right? And I read and I say, oh, like 10 years ago I did 3 and I stopped. I'm like, oh God, why did you stop? Because for me, as long as there are little green things coming out, don't stop. You could be tricked. But when there's nothing left, you start stopping. And that's the danger. But after 3, I don't believe you're free of green things. You still have some. Anyway.
What about people that actually don't, they might try 3 and they don't see anything, and so they're like, I probably don't have stones.
Correct. And then we need to continue to. Yes, that is correct. There was okay, so my wife also spent a lot of time, because before there was no Facebook, like in 2010, there was no one was talking about this. No one, right? On social media, 0. But there was the Amazon website has an excellent customer review, system, and there were comments, and there were still even like 12 years ago, there were still a lot of comments on the book, like 900, I think. Now they're 1,500, but I think they remove comments because they come so fast. You have to. I mean, they can store only a certain amount of comments, I suppose. But she was sifting through, and apparently there's a guy who did 9 flushes. Well, 8 flushes, nothing came out. On the 9th, then like you, boom, explosion. And it was like, oh gosh. So yes, it can. Yeah. Although I've never seen that happen, because for me, my wife, we always had stones. Like the first 10 always had stones. So that was very clear. That's why we continue. Say, oh, get more, get more, get more. Oh, we're at 10. Oh, we're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done. Andreas Moritz says, 12, you're done. 12 is like, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Yeah, I think that guy who, wow, good on him for continuing up to 9 flushes. But yes. I do think there's I'm really starting, continuing to understand that there's such a it's mechanical. It's like they literally can be so compact and jammed up in there that there's no movement. There's no way to get it out. So.
Correct. Yeah, they are in clusters, and you have to break a cluster. And my wife had that a few times where a cluster came loose, and then it's like beautiful flushes, and then they become smaller flushes, and then you have to reach a point where you move another cluster, break another cluster, and then you have a good one. So it's interesting how it goes. So going back to your question about this guy, and so this guy did 9 flushes because he did have an ultrasound that told him that he had stones, so he knew they were there. So I think that's the reason. The gallbladder was full of stones. So if there's a cluster in the gallbladder, it could take time to break this cluster in the gallbladder as well. And you do that with malic acid and other types of can do tart cherry juice or this kind of other things. Although personally, I've only used malic acid and apple juice. I've never used anything else. That's the only. I've been very close to following. A lot of people on those groups do all kinds of bells and whistly things, and they add all kinds of things, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do all that, and it worked for me. Like, I like simple things. Because okay, so liver flushes also. So going back to your question, what do you tell people who want to do liver flushing, right? It needs to be simple, something that you can do. Your closed eyes. You go, okay, take the mixed drink, done. It needs to be like you brush your teeth every day. Well, you liver flush once a month, or once every 2 months. It needs to be, and when you do liver flush, you should not think. It should be completely automated, like driving a car. That's what I say. Like this, it's just something that enters into your habits, and you don't even think about, oh, I have a liver flush. Next, it's like nothing special. So that's also something. You shouldn't make it so complex that you're like, you have paralysis by analysis kind of thing. Just do it. It's not perfect. It's fine. It's good. You do it. It's the most important. That's also very important. I've seen that on Facebook groups where people are paralyzed by analysis. They say, oh, I need to get the planets aligned and the full moon and the new moon. I don't know. Just do it. Just avoid. I mean, the moon cycle, I think you should not do it on a full moon. But if you're like 4 days away from the full moon, it's okay. And your schedule is hard, is tough, but just do it. That's all. It's more important.
More important. Just do it. Perfection.
Just do it. Yes, exactly.
And complications is not the goal.
Yes. And if you don't have, and it's great because if you really want to simplify it, okay, so the simplest liver flush ever is malic acid and water. Malic acid powder, you can go online. There are some, if you look at my Facebook profile or Twitter profile, I have a link to bulkfoods.com that have the malic acid I've been using forever. And you take half a teaspoon in the morning, put it in 16 ounce, half a teaspoon in the afternoon, put it in 16 ounce of water. You drink that 2 hours after meals. I mean, how hard can that be? The prep is super, that's the simplest prep, okay? And then on the day, you need Epsom salt, 6 p.m., 8 p.m. on day 6, and then you do your citrus juice and olive oil mix thing. You use mason jars, you close the lid, you shake it, you drink, and then you go to bed on the right side and so forth. It needs to be just like, oh, I'm doing a liver flush,
Yeah.
Like nothing else. Oh, I'm brushing my teeth. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's important to keep it simple, and it's important to keep it sustainable. Yeah,
correct.
Like something that you can build in, that you can repeat, because this isn't a one and done.
No, it's not one and done, and even it's not 12 and done.
Yeah,
it's not even 52 and done. Although it's 52 and much better.
Yeah, wouldn't it be, I really wish that I could like see how that actually looks in there when it's all packed in, because it's like some of the things I'm getting out, the clumps are so big. It's not necessarily that they're individual stones, but they're clumps of stones that have clearly been compressed together for a long time. And it's like, gosh, the bile ducts must just be so like stretched out. And I just would love to see more more imaging of what it's actually,
that's true,
what it looks like. And then also, like, have you had anything examined in terms of the stones, or like, any toxins examined by a lab or discovered?
So we read on the Amazon website comments, some people did that, and they were liver stones. They found that they were, gallstones. So that was done. We never did it ourselves, because typically, I mean, yeah, it's so stinky. It's like, it's too toxic. I mean, I just get it. I take a picture, I play around with it a bit, and flush them. I don't care.
It's better out than in.
Yes, I'm always grateful to see them coming out. I'm like, good. I'll feel better.
Do you think those little tiny neon orange ones, is that like the strangest things that you've seen come out?
Yeah, I think so. My wife had a something white but putty white come out. It was so, I don't know, but I didn't see it. She I was at work or something. I was traveling that time she did it, I think. but I never had flukes or things like that they show pictures on the Facebook group. So I've never seen those. And there could be things that sink, and that I'm not going to stir things. You know, I'm happy with what's protein already. I'm sure things that are maybe sinking, things that are even more crazy, but I couldn't see it because also on day 7 you don't have any poo left, right? So it's quite transparent, so you can see through, and I didn't see anything in the bottom either. So
yeah, did you continue to have you used colonics all the way through, professional colonics, or did you at some point switch to doing enemas? Or
so my apartment is very small, so I don't have too much space for that. So I don't have a bathtub, anything like that. So I did professional colonics only on day 7. Some people on the Facebook group say, "Oh, you need to do it on day 6 as well." I never did that on day 6, just for economical reason. You know, when you do a colonic, it's not super cheap either. So I try to get the best bang for the buck in terms of the best time for a colonic. And for me and my wife, we think it's really on day 7 in the afternoon when you still have toxicity. And after that, after the hour, we really feel amazing results because, of course, all the remaining toxicity is out. The only drawback of colonics on day 7 is that sometimes you can be a bit constipated for a couple of days, but it's I mean, it's expected. You have a brand new clean colon, like polished colon. It's all squeaky clean in there, so
polished.
you know the all the bacteria is a bit too gone, so it takes time to rebuild the correct bacteria. So, but it happens naturally anyway.
Yeah, it's really cool that you began this journey, and it sounds like have continued it with your partner.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to share about kind of being able to do that together, and or like her results, or is she still?
Yeah, well, she had jaundice actually. Her skin was all yellow, and she didn't know about the liver at all. We only started this because we wanted to recommend it to someone who had cancer.
Yeah.
Because we thought that it could help for cancer. That's all. And we don't even know if it would have helped because he didn't do it, and he passed away very fast and in much pain, unfortunately. But we continued because yeah, I mean, it's good to get liver stones out, and we saw that it's still at the beginning there were not too many benefits, but after like 5 years, all her yellow skin got back to normal color. So that was, and she didn't even know she had this yellow color, but it basically it faded away after a while, and said, "Oh, maybe it's the liver thing. Oh, you have so many stones." She had way more than me though, in terms of volumes of stone, but I had more of the toxicity in terms of the stink, you know, and those yellow, bright yellow and bright orange kind of mini stones, or like quinoa style sesame stones. Those are really bad. I know if I see them, I said, I'm gonna feel good.
And your wife is still receiving benefits? She's still flushing too?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, there's some people in my sort of liver flushing intro program that kind of got their whole family, you know, their sister and their husband, and everybody's doing it kind of together, and it's really beautiful.
Oh yeah,
beautiful
that's good
to have that bond, and also to like share with their children, you know, they're like, look, these are liver stones, and the kids like, I want to clean my liver.
Yeah, it was like me. I was like a kid. I saw my wife say, "Oh, I want to do it." So next week, the week after, I started the prep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you guys do it at the same time, or do you like rotate?
Sometimes we rotate, yeah. Sometimes we don't do it at the same time.
Yeah.
Depends on if she does it less frequently than me now, but a few times, yeah.
So nowadays you're sticking with the four per year, kind of like your maintenance.
Yes, that's my main. I did a 2 years for 3 years, and that's too little, I noticed, because also during, since I started in 2011, I never had a flu, no nothing, no flu, no cold. And I got a cold in November, and I said, oh, that's okay. I know I'm not flushing enough. That's for sure. So I did a flush immediately in November. And because I did a February, June, and I was doing twice a year. There was February, June, or February, July, and then I had this cold. It's like nothing crazy cold, but just a light cold. And I said, "Oh, that's not normal. I haven't had a cold in like almost 12, 11 years. What's that?" Okay, let's do a flush. And of course, and it's interesting because how when you have a cold, you have some trailing symptoms. Day 7, those trailing symptoms obliterated, gone. I said, okay. I know. I had to flush a little more than that still.
Wow.
Yeah. So all the pandemic thing, I went in there. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, let's do something else. Ignore. What? For me, I'm not concerned with this thing. I know I'm not. I haven't had a flu in 10 years, or like 9 years at this time. So 2020. I hadn't had a flu in March of 2020 when everybody went crazy. And I said, huh? Oh, that's fine. Okay. Let's work from home because I'm a software engineer, right? So I can work from home. I work from home. Okay. Every day I went out. I did some running. I did running out. So I was like, oh, lockdown. Okay, go running. The roads were so empty. I could die. I like 4 roads. I could cross the intersection diagonally. It was like unheard of. Oh, I want to cross the intersection. Up, I crossed. There's not a car. I couldn't even see a car moving. Nothing. It was so deserted. So I was just running, doing exercise. Then my hike every morning. I did a run. I said, perfect. I live in California, so the sun is there. So
So your energy levels are pretty good, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And how's your sleep? Is your sleep
super good? I sleep. Oh yeah, super good. Even before, it's funny because even before liver flushing, my sleep was not bad at all. But now it's like I can sleep way less and be perfectly fine. So that's another benefit is I need less sleep. Like for example, I can sleep 6 hours and be perfectly fine for the entire day, whereas usually 6 hours before, no, that didn't cut it.
Yeah. And how's your digestion these days?
Digestion is good. I mean, obviously I get good energy. So yeah, it's interesting. So before flushing, I used to, poo only once a day. Now I usually do morning, evening. I do twice a day. That's maybe out of the week, I'll do twice a day for 6 days, and then maybe 1 day is once, so kind of thing. Or maybe 2 days is once, and then 5 days is 2, yeah, something like that. And also what's interesting that I noticed is that when after a certain amount of liver flushing, when I poo, it's not like pushing like this and then like taking like a long time. It comes out in a second. It's like, oh, and then done. It's like it's very interesting how, and it's like birds. Actually, birds do that. Birds they spit out the poo so that doesn't land in the nest. When they're in the nest, especially birds of prey, they do a spit, out of their butt. Spit. and this is it. I saw, it's funny because I was looking at those birds of prey, and sometimes you see them poo, right? And they lift the butt and poo, and then the poo comes out like a bullet. And I it's a bit like that. When I go to the restroom, I go, and it's everything out, boom, in one shot. And it reminds me that before the flush, it was, it was like, so like that, it's a bit, it's funny how it changes, but all your digestion is very fluid, much more, you process things way faster. So it's very comfortable, and you spend very little time on the toilet. Also, it's great. I mean,
Yeah, it's great.
yeah,
It's great. Yeah, the bile helps lubricate everything. So when you
correct.
get
Yeah,
more bile, it's more lubricated.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, and your butthole is not too dirty either, which is nice. You don't.
Yeah.
It's not annoying to clean, so it's all good.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Thank you for sharing. Funny.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's important. I mean, we all do that, so our body is designed this way. It's normal.
Yes, that's part of what I love about talking about and teaching about this procedure too, because we bring things that are completely normal body processes and
Yes,
and parts of our body, even when we start talking about them, we start normalizing talking about them and they start coming
yes,
out of the shadows, like so that because people really feel like they can't talk about these things. Like some people don't have people in their life that they feel that they can talk about these things with. And
yeah. I talk about it. I talk about everything to my wife.
yeah, and you have taken this so far that you're talking about it on social media,
Yes,
and
yes,
being a voice for the liver flushing.
yes, exactly.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah, well, I got so much benefit out of it, and I have a feeling that even Andreas Moritz himself did not know what he found. Basically, he
Mhm.
knew he found something amazing, and he named it amazing or miracle, but it didn't seem like he completely fulfilled it by himself, because he was writing, "Oh, when you do 12, you're done," and I'm like, "Oh,
And then
really?"
obviously he wasn't totally well, so
No, and he wasn't well, and I think he needed more flushing, more. There are some people who do flushes every week, like this Elizabeth on, their liver flush gal, or Naturally Wells, on Instagram. They do it. They used to. I mean, I think, yeah, they still do it, but they do it very frequently, and I'm like, the most frequent I've ever done it in my life is once every 2 months. I never did it monthly. I always did it once every 2 months. So. And even with that frequency, I got, huge benefits. So it takes more time, that's all. And also there's one thing that I noticed is it seems like your body that detox has a max speed of detox. I mean, you need to let it do its thing, that's all. And it piggybacks on your liver flushes as an impulse to even flush out more, but it's something that the
you
body
can't
knows it's coming, and it'll piggyback on it, but it still needs to do its thing between the liver flushes. Basically,
yeah,
it's
you
not you
can't
cannot
totally rush the process.
no, you cannot rush the process. And then some people do double flushes or triple flush. Basically, they do you kind of have this mirror where you have 6 p.m., 8 p.m. Epsom salt, 10 p.m. Olive oil. Some people, and in the morning you have 6 a.m., 8 a.m. Epsom salt. Some people do olive oil also at 10 a.m. So yes, and I said, no, I cannot do that. I'm done. Sorry, I'm knocked out. I'm a sloth. I cannot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everyone's trying to figure out how to get a little more time back, I think.
Yeah, but I say don't rush. It's fine. It will come. Don't worry. No, just I like to think about, even if there are times where I don't feel as good, especially maybe 5 years ago or something, in between, like when I was in the 20s flush, 25, 26, sometimes I didn't feel good. And I always try to think, oh, look at all what came out already, especially for you. It's, oh, look at what come out already. And already you feel better just at thinking, you accumulate all the flushes you did so far, and you accumulate all the volume of what came out, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you can already feel super good.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
by thinking about it. Yeah.
So grateful for that effort and that, of I was scared away from liver flushing for some years from a certain diet guru who said that it was too like violent on the liver. And ever since I've come back to liver flushing, I actually feel really clearly that I'm working with my body and that
Yeah.
my body and my liver are actually happy about this process. And it's like, yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that I was able to come back.
Yeah, the liver flush process is nothing magic. It's only accentuating a natural mechanism in the body. The body will expel toxicity normally if it's small enough. But if it accumulated in clumps in a way that it cannot, then it'll start, liking liver flushes because this Epsom salt or magnesium citrate can dilate the bile ducts in a way, and then you give with the oil, you give it a kick, and it knows, okay, let's expel.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it gets better at it too as you go along.
correct. Yes, yeah,
Like
it
you were
knows.
saying,
Yeah,
it
it gets. Yeah, it knows. Yeah. Your body knows. Oh, you're doing a liver flush. Okay, I'm going to. I know.
It's so it's really so cool. We have such
Yeah.
miracle bodies.
Yes, the creator is very, very interesting because somehow, in 100 years ago, people's lifespan, like say 200 years ago, people's lifespan were short because they were undernutritioned, and these days we're overnutritioned, right? We eat too much, basically, and I think this liver issue, I mean, liver issue still comes when you're a very young child, so it might have been always there, but there's only so much you can do by even bringing nutrition to a correct level. You still need to detox the liver, it seems like. So it's kind of a software bug, it's a kind of a bug in our body kind of thing, where it's kind of a bug that we need to fix. And it goes back to knowing how do the stones form initially. How do they accumulate to a level that the liver cannot flush them anymore, right? That's where it is, right? Because let's say tomorrow I do this and you have no more stones. So how, what is the trigger that creates a stone that is large enough that it'll start obstructing the internal ducts of the liver and start accumulating the larger stones and larger stones and larger stones? So what is creating that? And this is the point that we don't know at this point.
Yeah. But hopefully, we will keep studying and get more people interested. And
yes,
I really, really appreciate all of your time today, Jeremy. And it's been so awesome to talk with you. Get to know your awesome, silly personality. Very expressive.
Oh yeah. That's for sure. I'm silly.
It's awesome. It's lovely. And I know you have another meeting, so maybe as kind of just like a closing point, if you were, I know you do talk to these people, but just for the sake of this conversation, if someone came to you and said, I'm kind of scared, I don't really know if I want to try liver flushing, I'm not sure about it, what words would you maybe have for that person?
So that's difficult, right? Because a lot of people that have the same questioning, and some people. So, well, that's the most difficult, I would say, because some people, I talk about it and they're not interested, or some are interested but they don't do it, or some. Usually the people who are interested and do it, or some people, you talk about it and then 5 years later they contact you back and says, oh, my doctor told me I have high cholesterol, and he prescribed me some statins. I'm not taking this. Can you give me back the liver flush book that you're talking about like 5 years ago in the yoga class? Like, oh, And now she flushes, pop, 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 and she gets like huge amount, and she's yeah. I was like, okay. And this was a person at the time 5 years ago. She had no reaction, none, zero. But
Wow.
it's still stuck in her mind because after 5 years, yeah. So you never know. Some people you talk about once or twice, and then times goes by and they come back to you. That happened once. And now that she's an avid liver flusher, she had amazing releases, top notch, super good. She maybe did 7 or 8, and then the 7 or 8 were, oh, wow, amazing. And then, yeah, that's the hardest is because you live in the new world. When you liver flushes, your world is different. It's completely different. You see everything differently, everything. It's and you know what those people are confronted with, and you know it, but how can you say it's the hardest to how can you express it so that they tick? I haven't figured out the exact method for that, unfortunately. It's very weird. You live in a different world, literally. I cannot repeat this enough.
I feel that.
And you feel love for everyone, and it's interesting because you feel love, much more love for everything, and compassion, but yet you're stuck because you cannot express with words what you have. It's like you cannot express with words. It's hard to, it's impossible to convey with words what you feel. That's the problem. That's a real challenge, actually. That's why it's extremely difficult. Is you cannot. You would have to talk to the person mentally, or you have to have the ability to say, okay, here's my body. You can jump in my body and be me for 5 minutes. I'll let you be me, and then you get out because you can do it too. So, but just feel how it is to be me, and then, then you'll understand. But otherwise, yeah, you feel good. Okay, I feel good too. Okay, you know how good you can feel. It's a problem. It's yeah. So if I could tell a person I was talking to, I say, oh, be me for 5 minutes, enter my body, do things with my body, and feel how I feel, and then be you again. Give me my body back because I like it. I'm a bit addicted to it. Sorry. And then I don't know. There's something like that. Yeah. So words cannot convey this very easily, at least.
Wow, that's a really profound answer. I appreciate that. It makes a lot of sense, and hopefully this this demonstration from you today of just like, you know, the way you move and the way you speak can hopefully convey just a little bit more, you know, to tell someone in this direction.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe, hopefully, that's our goal.
That is our goal. Yes. Well, thank you again so much for taking this time. It's been really awesome. Great to meet you.
Yeah, and thank you for also same thing, taking the time and doing those YouTube videos. They look nice. You have good editing skills. I like how you do the little introductory little, you know, the first image of each video. You know, you have little text on it. It's fun.
Oh yes, the thumbnail.
The thumbnails, yes. Those,
I mean, it's all very steep learning curve for me. I'm pretty new to it, but trying to make something, because just like you, I believe in the power of this work. Like it's just been so transformative for me, and you know, and that's why I'm doing this thing where like people, you know, everyone can do it. They can get the book, they can read about it online, they can just do it themselves. But for some people, they want more support than that, and they want something. So that's why I'm, you know, doing this little program to just help people get started. And once they get the hang of it and it starts becoming that autopilot, like you were saying, they can just run with it, you know?
Yes, correct. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. Okay.
But the benefits don't come that fast. I mean, they come, you know, maybe I started running. It's funny because at the number 25, for example, we're on number flush 25, 26. My body was itching to move. It's very interesting. So that's how I started running, because My body's itching to move. It was like, you have to move. Okay. Grab my, I have running shoes. Yes, all the ones. Okay, just run. And I ran for a mile. I came back. I was all, my body was hurting everywhere because I never run, never. So,
Wow. So you
then,
weren't running before
no,
that?
no, not at all. I started running in 2015. I started yoga in 2017. I was not, before I was a sloth with a computer.
Wow.
A little sloth is moving slowly.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and it's very odd. And it had this, the one day during, it was a beautiful spring day of California. And I felt like moving. I had to move. Okay. So I said, okay, I need to move. Okay. Just grab a pair of running shoes and then run out. And I ran a mile, I think, or a mile and a half. And I came back and I was exhausted because I was out of breath a bit because I never run. And still my body was, you know, all my muscles were hurting and everything, but yet, oh, I feel good. It's good. Next day did the same. After a week, I was running like way more.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the body that wants to move because it's very interesting. That's how it started. Yeah.
I had no idea about that, and that's very inspiring. Hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe that will happen to me one day too.
Yeah. But it's not instantaneous. It's still, you still need to be persistent, and it's not that easy, but you have to make it streamlined. As I said earlier, it needs to be simple to do. You have to have all the ducks there shouldn't be too many ducks, but it should be all lined up, you know. If there are too many ducks, it's not good. They'll never be lined up. But if you have like 2 or 3 ducks, you know, you put your ducks in a row and make sure you don't have too many ducks, you know, meaning make it simple, right? Don't make it too complicated. And there are ways to make it simple. If you read the book, you can find it. I mean, like just using malic acid powder and water, and that's it. And forget about those juices. That's it. The only juice you need is the juice from this grapefruit, and you only need 6 ounces of it. So that's 2 grapefruits typically. So good,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I will say though that some people do have results right away, and I've been actually surprised by that. And but they're the temporary. Oftentimes they're the temporary kind of results. But when people see, I mean, literally, I've had people in my program that said one flush and their depression lifted entirely for a period of time, or their pain, you know, their joint pain lifted entirely. But of course, it was a short period of time. But still, to have the glimpse of that, have the glimpse of that, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the walking and air sensation earlier. So you have this, it's temporary, but each flush, it gets longer and longer and longer until it starts being really, really good. Long and continuous, basically.
Yes. And we wish that for everyone who wants to take it for themselves, you know, because we can't give this to anyone, really.
No, we cannot. We can always we can talk about it, but we cannot, in the sense that we cannot make the person feel how they would feel after doing it 25 times, let's say, or 30 times.
Yeah. And it really only takes 2 days out of your month. So
exactly. Or even a day and a half, actually. Day 7, maybe you can cross it off, and end of day 6 is also needs to be dedicated. But earlier in day 6, you can still do stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Siena Songbird here. Wow, I really enjoyed that interview. If you loved it as much as I do, subscribe and stay tuned for more interviews like it. And in the meantime, check out some of the other videos on this channel all about liver flushing. Thanks for being here.